Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Public Services meeting today. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to move straight on as we've got a little bit to get through today. So, public questions, and we haven't got anybody in attendance and nobody on Zoom, so we will move straight on from that. Although there are voices outside.
Hi chaps, do come in.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Anyway?
Yeah,
Please do.
especially for you.
Right. Hiya, welcome. Thanks for coming. We're going to move on to item 2, apologies for absence.
So we've had apologies from Councillor Amos, who is away at university, Councillor Peacock, the Town Mayor, and the Deputy Town Mayor, both have got personal commitments.
No problem at all. Thank you. I would like to accept those and propose them. Can we vote? I can have a second.
Second.
Thank you very much. Can we have a vote on those, please? Thank you very much. Okay, to receive the meeting, to the minutes of the meeting held on the 1st of September. This is to accept for accuracy. I'd like to propose that. Please, may I have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Has anybody got any comments on accuracy of the minutes? No? Then can we move to the vote on that, please? Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Okay, so moving on to the chairman's updates, a lot to go through today, so apologies for my reading, but let's crack on with those. Starting off with flooding, we've had some significant wet weather of late, as I think we're all aware, and it is noted that there have been floods at Dunnings and the Felbridge area. It is noted that Felbridge significantly has a number of potential housing developments, and that is noted that Councillor Whitaker, as District Council, has written to the District Council and asked for a strategic flood assessment to be carried out by the District Council Planning Department. This is a matter for our Planning Committee, but as Public Services Committee, we would, I'm sure, wholly support this, as flooding for various reasons is escalating matter, and new builds need to be sure not to increase these risks. So thank you, Councillor Whitaker, for doing that.
Just coming on that, yeah, thank you for picking up on that, as only recently,
Yeah.
Chairman. Just the context of it, not necessarily all new housing or potentially new housing, that the existing Birches industrial estate, the new units that were built are probably around between 5 and 10 years ago. They're next to the woods, and they're particularly been badly hit by floods. They're pumping the water out, and it's migrating elsewhere. So it's Mr. Leppard, who I'm liaising with, is liaising with the management company, Birches Industrial Estate, because they need to improve their drains. But
Yeah.
it's linked, but it's not all to do with housing.
I have worked. Thank you. I have worked on that estate, and I do know of what it is a number of years ago, water just torrenting down the roads, and not the drains not coping. So
well, I think the bottom line is we need to make sure the Environment Agency manages Felbridge water from kind of start to finish, really, and manages the process. So.
well, thank you for doing that. West Sussex County Council no longer clear the gullies and drains of leaves. These themselves can cause problems. We urge residents to report blocked drains to West Sussex County Council before the weather turns bad. Excess water on the roads and plummeting temperatures will result in ice, which can cause accidents. So yeah, I know, especially on the Beeching Way, I did see somebody down there the other day pumping that out, so that's greatly needed. Officers have reported Turners Hill Road as a road with excessive water, not blocked drains, which is an annual concern, but more so with the new development. The clerk has urged our highways manager to ensure that the THR is gritted in the event of zero temperatures due to the presence of water, as a precaution. Of course, road users should always drive to the conditions of the road, but black ice can be difficult to see. And if we're not aware, and if you're not aware, the road it can be wet. So we all know how bad it's been recently and where the problems are. But yes, we do need to. Everybody driving needs to be careful, but we also do need to keep an eye on that as a council. It's only going to get worse. Moving on to roadworks. Yes, they are a vein of our lives. As a commuter now driving to Horsham every day, I've noticed how ridiculous it's getting. Anyway, roadworks continue to cause all types of problems, with contractors not working together and roads being bunged up within days, dug up within days of one contractor finishing. Letters of complaint have been passed along to county councillors and county officers. This remains a concern about the lack of joined up works and lack of teeth that county have to address. Is that right? Oh, okay. Sorry. The clerk and the council Whittaker both spoke to South East Water yesterday regarding the temporary South East Water Felbridge lights to try to get the lights moved as work had been completed. This was also reported to our MP. Of an example of permit system creating poor public relations and intense frustration to road users. Yeah, I think we all know that trying to get anywhere around the town is ridiculous. Trying to get in and out of the town is ridiculous. You go one day one way to avoid it, and there's a set of traffic lights there, and then you try another route and there's a set there. So I know that the town clerk has spoken to our MP and has written to West Sussex. It just needs to get better. You can't dig up a road one day and then dig it up another day and then put another set of traffic lights, and then closed Inbourne Lane the other day as well, which is just ridiculous. So, Councillor Bell.
Wasn't, as I'm sure Councillor Bennett from West Sussex will reiterate, there is a huge amount of frustration within the membership of West Sussex County Council, because the fact is that they have little or no control over the applications that get signed off. It is bad, you know, working together with different things. But I'm
Thank you. Just to support Councillor de Bell in what he says, and with my West Sussex County Councillor hat on, it is very, very difficult because West Sussex are duty bound to give a licence to those that need to work on our roads. And I think the frustrating thing is we have lots of different utilities who keep needing to do things. We have lots of new network providers that all lay their own wires down, and why they all can't share one, I don't know. And the minute it's done, then somebody's wanting to do theirs as well. And then it's down to West Sussex to try and repair the roads and the pavements afterwards. And then they're just getting dug up again. Interestingly, I have noticed that it's not just this area. When I say this area, I'm talking about mid Sussex. It seems to be all over the country. So I do think there needs to be some joined up thinking, and there needs to be some change. But for that to happen, I think there's going to have to be a big partnership to work together to get this sorted. We need to look at how we're travelling around.
Is there anything as a town council that we can do or put pressure on anybody?
I think to keep highlighting the issues is so important. And I think for residents as well, I think sometimes residents don't realise that they can report things themselves, and they can give their frustrations to their councillors, their MP, officers that work at West Sussex County Council for highways. And I think it's about making it top of the agenda, putting the pressure on, showing that it's very difficult to move around our network. And at the end of the day, as residents, we pay council tax to be able to move around our network. And not being able to is very frustrating.
Is there, thank you, Councillor Bennett, is there a ruling, or where if it's not being worked on, if the roadworks aren't being worked on, there's nobody there. Is there something that can be done there? or-
Sorry, Chairman, just to
Yeah,
come
no,
back on
please.
that, the difficulty is, sometimes it might look as if there's no
Yeah.
work going on, but there might be. And sometimes things have to be left to settle before traffic can move on it. Another issue that we have, particularly with traffic lights that I'll put up just for the roadworks, batteries can go.
Mm.
So that's a bone of contention for people because they'll be stuck on a red light or there'll be no light at all and it's the battery that's gone. So, but when you are at a temporary traffic light, there will be a phone number by the box that anybody can ring to say, can you come out? The battery's gone on the traffic lights. But there are also occasions where things are just forgotten and left. And then people do need to come out and move them because at the end of the day, the road should only be blocked when the work is necessary. The work is finished, get everything out of the way, get the traffic moving.
Thank
Chair,
you.
if I can just add to that, one of
Please.
the problems we have at the moment is that the permit is awarded for a set period of time. And that was the problem we had yesterday, is that the work had been completed, the permit ran through to the end of today.
Yeah.
And so as far as the utility provider was concerned, they didn't have to move that until today because they've got a permit all the way through. But this is something that West Sussex is in the process of changing. And I think it's from next year, they're intending to bring in a lane hire. Does that sound about right to people as a scheme? So that effectively they will be charged for using the highway longer. So if they go over their permits, they get charged. But I think the idea is, I'm not 100% sure how this is going to work, but my understanding is that there will be a period of time, if you go over that, you're going to get charged. And likewise, if you are work complete and it's signed off and you're still there, you're going to get charged. And it's hopeful that that will move these utilities on a bit more quickly than we've noticed of late.
Well, let's hope that helps. Okay, let's move on to the LC whip. The town clerk and councillor Odey were included in a meeting to unveil the proposed cycle routes that the Mid-Sussex District Council consultants are working on regarding cycling links in the town. The pair have given feedback to the consultants as the presented plans. There are 7 routes that link the residential areas to the schools and the town centre. More work is hoped for Avenue Vert, Route 21 to link the Worth and Forest Way, and also to include St Margaret's Loop. The draft proposal will be circulated to the committee this week for information. When the proposals are finally there, will be a consulted on the Mid-Sussex District Council, and they will send a formal response at that time. As part of these conversations, there has been a suggestion that East Grinstead may benefit from a 20-mile-an-hour limit across the whole town. The clerk has been advised that the West Sussex County Council speed limit policy review will shortly be reviewed at county, which may result in a change which would enable an extension of the East Grinstead EG scheme to the whole town. This will, of course, be subject to discussions and consultation, but may assist with the car cruising issues in town, as well as speeding by the boy racers. This is just for noting at this time as a possibility in the future. Separately, West Sussex County Council are looking at the Twitton between the hospital and Elizabeth Avenue and considering upgrading this pedestrian cycle path. This will keep the loop regarding this. So I think that's good. I'm not sure about the whole 20-mile-an-hour thing, but we'll see how that goes.
It was something that came up during the conversation, and it's something that if this town council decides to put forward, will be discussed by this town council.
Well, that's worth discussion. Anything on that? Oh, okay. Last bit, English language classes. Followed continued requests by the clerk due to the provision of similar in Burgess Hill. The CAP have secured monies from Mid Sussex District Council to bring English language classes to the Oasis Cafe, Refugee Cafe at Glenview. Being Neighbourly have already put in place some provisions, and this new funding support will support this and allow this to continue. The Glenview organisers and CAB are now liaising as to how this will be implemented. Thanks are given to CAB for listening and securing the funds. Care Integrative Care Board. Following from the last meeting, the clerk has attended a meeting. We are told that the ICB will engage with the parish and town council soon, but not just yet. They are meeting with the district and borough councils first. However, a more detailed set of slides has been circulated to councillors showing the timelines and the expected priorities. In addition, a day at Glenview on 6th December has been set up by the ICB to allow all public to go along and find out more. Councillors are encouraged to go. Does anybody have any questions on that or anything else? No? Okay. Moving on. Receive the members' declarations of interest. Does anybody have it?
Got an interest on agenda number 9, because I work at Trinity Care Hospital.
Fantastic, thank you, councillor Ford. Okay, moving on to police matters. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Chairman. In regards to agenda item 11, with my West Sussex County Council hat on with that one.
Thank you. No problem. Okay, moving on to police matters. Hello, gents, thanks for coming.
Hello, yeah, no problem.
I'm going to hand it over to you. You can let us know
Yeah,
what
no
you're up to, and then we'll go questions.
This is my first day back in the role as PCSO for East Grinstead, so
Welcome.
excuse me if I'm a little bit vague on some of the detail. My colleague, PCSO Jack, will be there to fill in the details. So, I think just from a quick notice where I've been on response in Crawley for a year as a police officer, and now I've come back. So, in my time, ASB has also been an issue for any community. I don't think it's overly bad in East Grinstead, but I know very recently there's been some issues with kids jumping on roofs. There's been some issues in town around McDonald's and those areas. To kind of update you on that, we know who these individuals are now, and on both counts, the McDonald's roofers, I'm going to call them, and the roof jumpers, they've both been served with either community resolutions or community protection warnings in terms of their behaviour. And one of the individuals has actually been banned from East Grinstead full stop. And since those things have happened, that's been put in place, those incidents have stopped as far as I'm aware. My colleague hasn't seen anything. Hopefully you haven't seen anything recently of those incidents in town. So from an ASB point of view, there'll probably be pockets of things, little things going on in parks, whatever else, but that's for us to keep an eye on. I think it's really important that everyone just keeps telling us about these things that are happening so that we can deal with them. If we don't know about them, we can't deal with them. So please, to yourselves and to the community, if they can keep reporting these issues in so that we can get on top of them and manage them, that'd be fantastic.
How would you, sorry, how would you like them reported? Is it not obviously 999 if it's an emergency?
If it's an emergency, obviously 999,
Yeah.
but 101 it is the best way. I'd say the best way might be a slightly slow way, but 101 is the way. It needs to come in either via 999 if it's emergency or 101, otherwise it's not going to get recorded. So they're definitely the best ways, or the only ways really for that to be recorded. Because once they're on the system, that the person calling in will be given a reference number and they can refer back to that. And then that should come through, because it's an integrated matter, it will come through to us as the responsible people. So if we can look at it and start to do something about it, and that might mean linking in with yourselves to try and work out how to solve it. But yeah, we need to know about it in the first place, and 101 is probably the best way.
Yeah, some other things that have come to light recently, there's beggars in the town, I'm sure you're aware. They sort of set up outside shops, cash points. They're not actually homeless and aren't from the area. They come in on sort of on a day-to-day basis. So we recently tackled that, and yesterday there was 3. So they were removed and sent away. Another thing is what was called off-roadium. So it's catalytic converter deaths from cars. That's happening sort of all over Sussex, but recently also in mid Sussex is an ongoing thing, as well as high value car thefts, vehicles with keyless entries, cars are being cloned, taken off the driveways, So it's just, we're sort of trying to raise awareness for putting them in sort of safe boxes away from the doors. Sort of anything really to prevent that matter. I heard you touch upon the Birches Industrial Estate car meets. That is also linked to something in Burgess Hill as well. There's car meets happening there. Tends to be a pattern for Thursday nights. But that's something also that we're tackling. There's sort of set teams that are focused on the sort of car crimes. Only other sort of things really is the Lower Eastport car park. There's a burnt out motorbike a few weeks back. Vehicles have been damaged there. So it's something that we're looking at. I know the camera's not fully complete. I know it's been like that for some time, so it's still something that we're looking at getting finished.
Is that something you've actually helped with? 'Cause, like, I think it's the connection, isn't it? BT or whoever it is, the phone.
It's been going on a while, hasn't it? Because of the lovely post, haven't we, with no camera on top of it. I don't know, is that Mid Sussex? I'm not sure where it actually sits, to be quite honest, because is that Mid Sussex?
Yeah, I had an update from Mandy Callingham today on that actually, seriously. That we're hoping to get progress and get it up and working soon, but it is connections and it does seem to be causing problems. So yeah, it's sitting with Mid Sussex that way at the moment.
That would be useful.
That's it, other than sort of ASB around the pond in the King Centre, quite sort of hidden there with the bushes and the benches and there, things like that, and Mount Noddy as well. There's sort of other problems with ASB, but on that, it's very nice, yeah.
Are there any comments you're hearing that are common themes that we need to have a look at? I mean, we're all ears, the more we know, the more we can do about that.
I think for me, speeding, you can hear them going around town. You can hear the cars flying around, and it would just be good to have a road traffic car in and around the area every now and then, if possible. I know we need to report it, but when you can just hear, like I live just off Woodbury, and you can hear them flying up Woodbury, and then you can hear them going on the A22 and down the Ramway system and things. And you can't report it because there's a car going really fast somewhere in East Grinstead. But if there's any way of getting a car in and around East Grinstead, it's usually 9 o'clock at night when it's dark and things. I think that would help. You said we've both touched on Birches. I think that's and car parks in and around East Grinstead. I think that's where we need to be looking as well.
I'm quite keen to sort the kind of traffic stuff out as well. So I'm obviously not a traffic officer. We would have to call officers in to deal with that kind of stuff. But we have a power for Section 59, so we can stop people giving a Section 59. If they get 2 Section 59s, then their car gets seized basically. So that's a power we need to start using or can use more.
With sort of antisocial driving, loud cars, things like that. There's something called Operation Crackdown. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but any details you can get, colour description, vehicle registration, anything like that. What can be made, and also brings it to our attention that certain times we can build patterns and bigger image on them.
No worries.
Obviously, there was a fatality last week now, H22.
I think that's still being investigated there. So, Councillor Whittaker.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, thank you guys both for coming. Really appreciate it. Really good report. You obviously got your feet under the table and ears around the town, so you know the hotspots really, because they're usually common. I would say that in the last 3 months since Sergeant Boyd came to us in September, much higher presence of you guys, on a regular basis, which certainly I've had a lot of comments saying great to see you around, and on sort of putting yourself about a bit, as it were, in a nice way. But so that's really good. A couple of points from the report, Chairman, if I could pick up, and from the last meeting. The DISC platform, the business link, there's some doubt about the funding of this. Town Clerk, is there, or there appear to be from the report?
No, we're still waiting to hear from the PCSO. From the Police and Crime Commissioner's office. That went to a meeting, I think, today. So we're literally just waiting to hear what the result of that's going to be. Everybody at the meeting, the members from the PCC's office, they all said that it has to go through the meeting to be approved, but it's really looking like it's going to be approved because she's very supportive of it. And today at the Mid Sussex meeting that I was at, we agreed that we would put the difference between well, we're going to fund year one, which is £2,000, so that's going to be funded by the MSP. That has been agreed by that group, so that will now happen, and we're asking the PCNC to pay for the years 2 and years 3, and as I said, it's all looking very positive. We won't hear till next
So
week.
that came about, guys, from the local business association,
Right.
this software package, I think, to link from businesses directly to how you receive the station. So
Right.
that's what that's about, really. So that's progressed really.
Oh, great, okay.
So that's good. And the other thing was, we also had discussions from June until now, Town Clerk and Chairman, about the Checkerley Contact Centre. So do you operate out of Hayes?
Yes.
Is there any news? Because
I've
I
heard
did
nothing.
Councillor Webster's here at the District Council.
I've heard nothing. I was hoping Sergeant Boyd was going to be here tonight so we could pick it up with him again.
Can I put that as a flag for you to
Yeah,
chase?
Is this in regards of somebody being at the sort of the front office?
Yeah, I mean, Sergeant Boyd, back in September, said it was subject to a business plan. Beyond his pay grade.
There is.
And
a-
so we're chasing that, we're trying to put pressure on to see.
Yeah, there is a scheduled timetable for when somebody's meant to be manning the front office. However, I think due to staffing levels of the front office staff, there's no one there. But there is a few days in the week where it's meant to be open. But it's something they're still working on.
Yeah, so it was just a, you know, whether-
Take it further.
we had noises that it would be manned again. But it's not at the moment, so we'd like it to be.
Councillor Smith?
Thank you, Chairman. Wanted to start by saying thank you because there have been occasions when we have had some huge issues in the town and we've jumped on it really quickly. And that's led to some convictions and that's been really reassuring for the residents of the town and has created a much better quality of life and well-being all round really. And I know that you go around and you do your police beat surgeries, which seem to be welcome and fairly well attended, really. But it's important to reiterate in a public arena that nothing really replaces the contact point at the main police centre. And I think sometimes when a resident might go along to a police beat meeting, it's obviously in a public place. And sometimes a question or a query, there's sometimes a story behind that. And if it was in a private area, that might come out a bit more and people might feel freer to talk. It can be hard to bring concerns in a public arena. And as you've quite rightly said, it really needs to go through the formal channels to be able to pursue something, to get that crime reference or whatever. So I recognise that. And I'm just hoping that they will find somebody soon to man it, which would be great for you and great for us.
Yeah, I think from our point of view, you know, when it was manned, when I was last here, it was manned, it was very useful to have someone there because they could coordinate any intelligence coming in and tell us straight away, and you know, people popping in to have a chat or just say something, you would get that information quite quickly and you could do something with it even if it hadn't been reported. So yeah, obviously I don't want to do the whole, it's not my pay grade, but it's not, unfortunately it's not me that makes any decisions on the front desk. And I think we would all like to have that contact, ourselves included, on that front desk. Whether it's going to happen, I couldn't answer, I'm afraid. Yeah, no, I totally agree to that.
Yeah, I mean, all I'd say, and I know that you totally understand this, is I'm in a very nearby location in my day job, and I see people turning up really wanting to speak to somebody, and they can't, and it can be quite upsetting for people when, yes, you could pick up a phone or you could email, but sometimes you need that personal reassurance face to face, and nothing can beat that.
No, right. One of our aims is to try and be out more as well, be out on the street so that we can talk to people, so that we can be an open forum for people to talk to. and to come up and talk to us. And obviously, we don't have all the hours in the day, but you're right. That kind of contact is really important. And it's almost like the face of the police or something.
Yeah.
That's what people see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I
Mm.
don't have the answer, I'm afraid. So, yeah.
No, I feel for you guys as
We'll,
well.
we'll try and be that face as much as we can. Yeah, I disagree at all.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and if people want to make that contact, well, we are out and about from time to time. We're more than welcome for people to come up and talk to us and tell us what's going on, because it is difficult to report sometimes. People don't necessarily want the reference number. They just want to talk to someone and have a chat with someone, and that's fine. We're trying to break those barriers down with those big surgeries and things like that, and trying to be out a bit more. So yeah, we'll do all we can. I think maybe it's going to be in a minute anyway in terms of the front desk. So the fact it's going to be in a minute and push forward that way is a good thing.
Absolutely, thank you.
Councillor Dibble?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I want to reiterate what Councillor Whittington said. Thank you. I can see your determination. I can see your commitment, and we want to play our part. We've said this. We said this in September. We want to play our part and make sure that you don't feel out there somewhere. That we are playing our part, and that we can encourage people in the town to play their part in keeping you informed. I was told, just to get off the record, really, I was told by a certain person back end of last year that there was plans, or she had every plan to build or to take over a police station. So I was creating this Grinstead police station, and it was put very forcefully, which we needed more feet on the street. So at the moment you represent that, and I can see your commitment, which is great. One of the things I wanted to say to you was, because of you know, you can't be everywhere at once.
No.
But there are some people really taking the mickey in the town as far as driving cars. I was up and walking through the town yesterday, chatting to people. About 4 o'clock time, there was a car, a Jag came through there, a white Jag came through there. He was doing at least 40 miles an hour. I don't know how he got over the bumps. And we regularly get motorcyclists doing the same thing, but I'm sure that you are frustrated by that to a degree.
Sorry,
That's absolutely.
I know. Give us those details. Give us those registration plates. At the very least, we can go and have a chat with that person.
Great. Okay. I wanted to hear that.
We wouldn't necessarily be able to, because we haven't been there, we haven't witnessed it.
No, I know.
Police officers, we wouldn't be able to necessarily do anything about it, nor police officers, because it's happened. But the more information we've got, the more details we've got, and that's, you know, residents as well, the community tell us, give us those details, and we can do something with it. We can't necessarily stop it straight away, but we can go and talk to those people, maybe embarrass them.
Absolutely, it takes time.
Yeah, it does, and you've got to wear away at them a little bit. But yeah, give us that detail and that information, and we'll do something.
Right. The other thing I wanted to ask you was, and this was the main thing. Where are we with electric scooters? Because I don't think anybody really knows where we are with the law on that. And regularly I see people flashing around on electric scooters in the town. As far as I know, they're still illegal unless they're in a test area.
They are. I don't know the exact legal wording in terms of scooters, but basically they are illegal because you can't MOT them, so you can't tax them, so you can't insure them. So they are illegal unless they're being run in a dedicated hire scheme. So London has a dedicated hire scheme. You get with, I think, a Line Bikes or something, but there is a dedicated scheme, and those are legal. But all the black scooters, I'm going to call them, they're mainly black scooters that you see being driven around, they're all illegal at the end of the day.
That's what I thought. You get such abuse if you say anything. Oh, that's illegal. You get all sorts of invective thrown at you.
Yeah, you do that, and they are seizable. We would probably give them a Section 59 warning first to say you need to stop using it, and then you'd seize it if they did it again. But technically they can be seized because they shouldn't be on the road.
Does it take any? Is it any use if you take a photo of them, you know, so you've got some idea what they look like, or whatever, or is that totally useless?
Again, if we know who the person is, we're happy to go and have a chat with them. We'll probably get a torrent of abuse, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't stop doing it.
No,
so it's quite happy to go and talk to them and say you shouldn't be doing it. You run the risk of running someone over, blah blah. You're not insured. I'm quite happy to do that if we know who it is. Obviously, we wouldn't want people sticking cameras in people's faces and getting themselves into positions.
No,
they can't deal with.
absolutely.
Just be careful with that kind of side, but
It's
we
young
know they
people,
are.
it's young people as
Well,
well,
I-
we're concerned
that's-
most about, because they flash around on pavements all over the place.
Absolutely. Yeah, you only have an elderly person step out.
And with Christmas coming on, I actually think Holford's allowed a lot more on the street.
I hope not.
Off the record.
I really hope not. But, I mean, it's crazy that they're allowed to be sold at the end of the day because they are illegal. You can't use them apart from private land.
That's right.
Yeah.
Bless you, thank you for that.
No worries.
Anybody else?
Can I just thank the support we get at Queen Victoria Hospital from police? We don't often have to use it. We tend to use the fire brigade when we're false alarms, but you know, back in the summer, we had to have a response. We had an armed response, and I have to say, brilliantly handled and managed. Just want to say on behalf of Queen Victoria Hospital, thank you for the support that you give us at the times we need your support. So thank you.
That's what it is.
Great.
Well, there's no more questions. I think it sounds like you guys have got your eyes in all the right places. I think you're doing a great job, and we thank you for everything you're doing. We appreciate that it's not you that are coming up with these schemes or ideas or shutting this, that, and the other. We appreciate there's not enough of you, and that's not down to you guys. But so thank you for doing everything you do for us, and yeah, keep doing it, please, because it makes these ones live a better
And
place.
I think just keep telling us what's going on.
Yeah, not Facebook, as I say, every meeting, Facebook is not the way to report it. It
No.
is via 999 or 101 and report it and then put it on Facebook if you want to, but at least report it to somebody who can actually do something about it.
Absolutely. It's very common that you say to people, having read something on Facebook, so did you report that? No.
That's usually my first thing.
You can't do anything.
Frustrating.
Yeah, but we need to build up
Yeah.
the information so that you guys know where to look and what time to be there and what cars to look out for, what scooters to look out for. And if we're not doing that, then you don't know anything about it.
Got nothing to work with.
Exactly. So please,
So
Councillor.
just to follow on the thanks, can you pass on the thanks to Sergeant Voigt, who came here in September?
Yeah.
I think he had a bad 2 or 3 months, and he just put his hands up, and things have changed, 180 degrees,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. He also came to Remembrance Sunday with himself and the police cadets, which we've never seen before on Remembrance, so that was terrific. Lots of people remarked to me, great to see the police cadets, so, it was a real good show on that day. So just please pass my thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor. Forgot about that, yeah.
And can I just say, probably for Julie, at a later date, I'm happy for my emails to go around, so that if you have got something going on in your communities that's not right, or you just want to tell us about, please feel free to drop us an email.
Fantastic.
So we know, basically, again, it's more information is key for us,
That's
so,
great.
my email's changed, really, I'll send you a new email.
Yes, please.
Yes,
please. We have circulated the Mid Sussex email address
Right.
for the MPT, but if you wish to give us a personal, we're
Yeah,
happy to
that's
use that
fine,
as well.
I'll give you not personalist.
You know what I mean? Direct.
Yeah, I'll send my new police one out, and then, anything in your community that's going on, you please let us know, and we'll definitely.
Fantastic.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming.
Much appreciated.
Feel free to.
Chairman,
yeah.
with your permission, we have a Mince Pie Day coming up on the 8th of December, next Thursday. You're very welcome, any of you who are in the
Good
town
to
on that
see
day,
you.
to come along and see us.
Fantastic.
Councillors will be there, staff will be there. It's just an opportunity to drop in and say hello before Christmas, so please do come in. They'll be here.
Just a drop in during the
Just
day.
drop in, around about 10, 11 o'clock, something like that, and but we'll be here for a few hours. Yeah.
And it's been fun.
Mince pies, there might even be a glass of wine, you never know.
I can't do that, I do mince pie.
Bacon butties might happen as well, so there you go. You're very welcome to join us.
It's worth dropping in.
Okay, great, nice to see you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Please.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Enjoy.
Thanks. Reassuring, I think, for everybody. Right, moving on to item 7, community service update. The report is from Alice, who is not able to join us tonight, but the clerk will answer any questions or take any questions that are needed. There is a request to agree to spend some of the youth reserves on the Purple Bus project, which is detailed in the report. The project is very successful and the youth ASB has reduced in the town since it started. The committee are urged to support this. It will still leave over 7,000 in the youth support reserves. I personally haven't read the report and seen what it and seeing what it's done through the report for the local youths, and I think we should be supporting them in any way we can, and even if you're getting, I think it was 30 something like that.
20 to 30
Yeah.
every Friday night.
Off the streets and getting them somewhere to go, and they're building friendships and not on the town. I think it's fantastic use of money. So I would like to, do I need to propose it or at the moment, or we just, it says for noting?
No,
That-
the rest of the reports for noting. but that bit I need
Okay,
to
so
do
I would like to
briefly.
propose it. Can I have a second?
Second.
Fantastic, thank you, councillor Hall. Can we all show our hands? Go on.
Thank you.
Fantastic, okay, that's proposed. The rest of it is just for noting. So has anybody got any questions or?
Yeah, is Roger okay? I didn't realise he was in hospital.
Yes.
Yes, Roger's had, he's had a kidney transplant. So
Nothing
he's,
major.
it's a bit difficult because we're having to record the meeting, but
Do you want me to
he's
pause?
absolutely, yes, could you just pause
Yeah,
it
of
for a moment,
course.
please, and I'll
Any other questions?
Oh, sorry, just one.
I thought you.
So, no, South East Water Partnership, very pleased to read that, and the amount of money involved, which is a very wonderful surprise to me. I didn't realise that. I knew they do bottles of water for East Court Live and that sort of thing, but I didn't realise it's that amount of money. Is there a break, I mean, I'm probably confidential, but is there some sort of breakdown analysis of how that comes about, or is there a structure, or have you negotiated this town clerk on that?
Alice negotiated it. Alice was sent out with the and you were one of the councillors who said, you know, we need to do better with income. So Alice, get out there and get some sponsorship, was what she was told. Yeah, so last year she got 15,000, and she's got the same guarantee for next year. That is towards our events. And as you all know, East Court Live alone costs us £13,000. So this is covering East Court Live. We've got the coronation next year as well. But it's not just for events. It's also for other things in the town as well. They're coming along and supporting the marathon. So they're doing water at the marathon as well. They have a presence here. They want to work in partnership with us. So they're quite keen on obviously anything that we're doing with them. They're getting some good PR with it, which is also what we're happy to do. But that is for us to use with regards to public events where South East Water can potentially get involved as well. So that's what it's for.
Great, thank you.
Can I just thank them as well, just for that 100,000. I know it was very painful for everyone earlier in the year for the water shortage, but they still didn't need to do the community fund for 100,000. And I'm aware of quite a lot of charities and organisations I'm involved with which have benefited from it. And it's been a massive, it has really helped those charities and organisations. So I'm extremely grateful for that support that they gave.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Moving on to consultations. This is to be aware of current consultations. Please, public place protection orders, comments to the clerk by the 10th of December. National bus strategy, comments to the clerk again by the 10th. It's going to be a busy one for us all. South East Water resource management strategy, comments to the clerk by the end of January. Comments please to the consultant and also comments to the consultation group, which is made up of councillor Sweatman, Woodgate, Visser and Mockford. Date shown as well. So I think we should all have both of those and get our comments back on that. I know that it's the police protection, public place protection orders for Birches, is that the one?
Yes, and that's what the police were just alluding to a moment ago. So that's the that effectively that will stop this car cruising, as all they're calling it, whereby the groups all get together and they drag race up and down. Of course, that's the problem with Birches because it's quiet at night and you know it's somewhere that they sadly ought to go. And as the police were still here, they would tell you that we don't believe that most of these people are East Grinstead based. They're coming into East Grinstead It's been a problem down in Burgess Hill. We've got this problem, and that is why Mid Sussex have suggested that the public space protection order not only reviewed for Burgess Hill, but includes a new area, Job's Lane, A2300 outside Burgess Hill, but also Birches up here in East Grinstead to try to deal with this problem.
Can't see that being a bad thing at all, so all for that one. Okay, any questions on those at all? Okay, moving on to Queen Victoria Hospital to hear an update on the current work of the hospital from Steve Jenkins, who's not here by Zoom.
Thank you, Jeff. So just an update. 11th of July, we have had a new chair. So Jackie Smith joined us on the 11th of July. Jackie has family who live in Sussex, experienced chair, was chairing 2 London trusts, 2 mental health trusts before joining us. Previous experience was at one time chief executive of the NMC, the National Midwifery Council. So someone with a lot of background and health experience. You will all remember that 1st of September, both the boards of University Hospital Sussex and the Queen Victoria Hospital agreed not to progress the merger. I'm sure that was met with a lot of delight from many people. We have had a stock take, as a board since then. We started some work around our clinical strategy, and that's been led by our medical director, and we've also got an independent medical director from Barts in London, Dr. Ed Rowland, who's also providing some insight and etc. We had a board seminar this afternoon where we had the first draft of the work they're doing on that so far. Board have also agreed that we need to revisit our own strategy. We put that on hold during the pandemic, and we've agreed to take on a new post, Director of Strategy and Partnerships. We had a really good response at the recent advert. We had over 36 applications, pretty wide experience group, and we held interviews yesterday. We've made an appointment today, so that person will be starting with us in February. So that person will build on the work that we're doing now in terms of our strategy. NHS is in the news most days of the week at the moment. Clearly, winter planning is very much where we're at the moment. We're very fortunate at QVH. We don't have the challenges of some of our acute partners, University Hospital Sussex, East Sussex, and later up the road. We don't have the challenge of an A&E and patients waiting to go back home, medically ready for discharge. So we're very much concentrating on our long waits at the moment. We've got patients who have been waiting quite a long time for their surgery, but we're doing well on that. We've got about half a dozen patients who've waited a year and a half, but we've got dates for them to come in for their surgery over the next couple of months. We've been asked by NHS Sussex, which is the Integrated Care Board, to support our colleagues with cancer help like we did during the pandemic. I think it's unlikely this side of Christmas that we'll be taking any patients, but I think from January onwards we may well find ourselves being asked to take patients. We are already helping our colleagues in those 3 hospitals I described, particularly with some patients for dental work and physio work at this moment in time. We've also had requests from much further afield for some of our specialist work, so patients waiting at University Hospital in Birmingham, patients who waited over 2 years for breast reconstruction. Again, I think it's unlikely we'll see many patients wanting to make that journey because it will mean staying down with us for a couple of weeks, etc. But that's ongoing. Potential industrial action. You'll have heard again the Royal College of Nursing. First time in 106 years of going on strike. None of the Sussex hospitals are impacted with the 2 days that have been announced in December 15th and December 20th. Although it will impact at one of the other unions, the ambulance service will be potentially impacted, but I'm not sure those dates have been announced so far. So we won't see any impact for us on the 15th and the 20th of December, but clearly nationally there will be an impact. We could well see further dates announced, to taking place into the new year, and we could well be included in that. We're negotiating with the unions at the moment what that would impact. So probably something like outpatient services may well get cancelled. but emergency on the day work, trauma theatres would continue, cancer would continue. One of the things I think we're very proud of this year is with the investment we've managed to secure from NHS England and the Treasury. So you'll remember we talked once before about 2 modular theatres, and those opened on July the 11th. So that was securing around about £4 to £5 million. We currently have a national agreement for developing a community diagnostic centre. So already what we call an early adopter, we're already doing some work, but we are securing the finance to develop. That will probably be in the years 23, 24 and 24, 25. But that could be something in the region of £8 million over those 2 years to develop further diagnostic work. So again, really good, to get that investment into the site. We're also, you may remember a few months ago, a previous Secretary of State, I'm not sure which one it was though, announced that every trust by December 23 should be going out to procurement from electronic patient record. So again, we're in the negotiations with the national team at the moment about funding for that, and that would be potentially into next financial year. So really pleased with those opportunities. A lot of work going into that at the moment. League of Friends have been incredibly supportive to us over the years. I mean, way back in December 2018, they funded the £500,000 of the CT scanner. Lots of new initiatives over those years. Really pleased, they've really taken a serious interest in the health and well-being of staff and agreed to fund free tea, coffee and hot chocolate in 30 staff kitchens at QBH for the next year. I think they're very aware of wanting to support, particularly our lowest paid staff. So that's something we're still talking to them about. Really pleased with the support we're getting. You'll be delighted to hear that our Christmas lights are going to be switched on tomorrow on our infamous tree at the front. Again, that was the League of Friends funded last year, and I think people did drive for miles around to look at those lights, and I'm sure that will be the case from tomorrow. So they'll be switched on tomorrow afternoon. Financially, the NHS is spending a lot of money at the moment, and certainly the Sussex system is potentially facing a small deficit at the moment. We'll be all right, QVH, this year. I think we're forecasting a break-even position. There is still some top-up money from COVID that trusts are still receiving or have received. I think next year will be very different. I think it will be very difficult. Everyone's finding it really difficult at the moment. But I think we'll find it particularly difficult next year in terms of inflation, particularly utility bills, etc. So I think it's just that you're aware that it's going to be a very difficult period of time for QVH. I think that's all I wanted to pick up on at the moment. In terms of COVID and flu, it's the only other thing I would say is I think the statistics show that we've been through the latest wave of COVID, and it's beginning to come down. So I think the Office of National Statistics over the last 4 weeks have said, it's 1 in 30 in England had potentially COVID, it's 1 in 35, it's 1 in 40, now 1 in 16. The latest figures tomorrow, I would suggest we'll probably say that number's gone out again, which is good news. We are beginning to see more flu, and certainly particularly young children, respiratory illnesses at the moment. And there's some speculation that flu might have an earlier impact this year than usually. Usually it's late January, potentially it could be late December going into January, so that will have an impact again on the hospitals, particularly our key partners. Likely to see a couple more waves of COVID, but again, probably not dissimilar to we've seen, certainly not as high as we saw this time last year. That's likely to be in January and March. We've just done a whole load of COVID boosters for our staff, and flu jabs as well. Certainly, if you haven't had your flu jab, I would recommend it. That's
actually on that, Steve. I noticed that Boots have just put out a thing saying if you want a flu jab, you can get one. Yeah. So it's basically free now to everybody.
I generally don't know, John. I mean, I know it used to be around £10 or £12.
Yeah.
I think there is certainly quite a bit of evidence of flu numbers going up, and of course,
Well,
but
I've
we
been
haven't
banging
seen-
away at my
but
watch,
we
so
haven't
getting
seen it
through.
for the last couple of years, and so I think there's
Yeah.
some unity
Yeah.
around, and certainly Australia and New Zealand had it quite bad.
The other thing if I may, Chairman, the other thing I'm concerned about is that apparently there's an Ebola strain in Africa that's sort of becoming resurgent. We've got some people from our church over there making a visit to Uganda at the moment, and because they're saying that it's not responding to the existing inoculations for it. Do you know anything about it?
I don't, but I can certainly look into it. and
That would be-
come back to
that would be
you.
right, yeah. It is, yeah, I mean, because it just seems like whenever we start to get on top of some of these things, the devil finds a way to have another go at us, and it's very worrying. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. That's really informative, and thank you for everything you and your teams are doing at Queen Victoria Hospital for East Grinstead and anybody else that's come down. Has anybody else got any questions?
Last one. Hi, Steve.
Hi, John. Good to see you.
Nice to see you again. No, thanks for that. And you're right. I think the population of East Grinstead was largely delighted by the fact that the merger didn't happen. One of my observations was just the last 12 months, it was quite difficult to go to a East Grinstead stand or a fair or something like that without having an anti-merger stand. And I suppose I was a little bit surprised maybe that I never really felt the NHS Trust potentially put their side of the story across. I think I saw a PDF and I think there was an email to members of the NHS Trust, but it would have been interesting to get that perspective. But the part of the reason for the follow on from that is that, you know, I know you said you paused the strategy and obviously finances this year look okay, but obviously if it's going to be a more difficult future, you know, to what sense can the trust actually set its own strategy, or will it be determined for it? And I think perhaps that might not be filtered through to the public. So I'd just be quite grateful for your thoughts as to what you think the future looks like.
We're very keen in terms of taking on a new post, John, that part of that role will be about engagement with local communities. The point you raised about going to fairs, and a lot of our staff raised the issue of responding to some of the very adverse comments that were on Facebook or in social media, and some of that was fairly derogatory about, you know, people at QBH, but also about the organisation. I think we found that the best response was not to get into too many responses and many spats, and just get on and do the job that we expect to do. I think within QBH, and you know, I think we've tried to engage with our staff very widely on the issues. The day after we made the announcement we were not merging, I had a Teams call. I had 160 people on the Teams call. Announced at 8 o'clock, and at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock the Teams call, 160 staff joined. I think, you know, generally staff were saddened in some respects, because I think they saw missed opportunity or potential for investment, promotion opportunities. But I think equally other staff were sort of saying, phew. But the challenge is, you know, going forward about how we are sustainable, just clinically, operationally, and financially. So that's the work we want to do in terms of strategy going forward. As I said, I think we purposely did not want to get into a spat with any group that was, you know, making the noises they were. I think staff was saddened by some of the derogatory comments made about, you know, particularly about me and some of my colleagues. I think they felt it was unfair. But, you know, that's the nature. If you're in the public sector, you're going to get that. I think, yeah, a lot of staff were very saddened by some of the leaflets that were handed out that were very unfair. They were, you know, they were mischievous. They was quite false. But I think we tried to have a dignified, you know, position that we believe we were doing right things forward. We need to find a sustainable solution for QBH. But our job is also about getting on and doing the day job. You know, we have people waiting a long time. You know, I think recently, once again, for the 8th year on the trot, we've been rated one of the top trusts in England, the top 10 trusts in the country in terms of patient feedback. And in fact, we were actually the top trust from the nursing perspective. So I think our focus has been on doing the right thing for patients and for staff. But it hasn't been easy, I have to say, with some of the comments, and it's saddened that not all those comments have been made by local people. I think that's, there's been a lot of noise from people outside of East Grinstead, in fact, outside of Sussex, making those judgments.
I think I totally sympathise with you, but personally, I can see your commitment. It's quite obvious all the way through, and I hope that you'll never have thought that this council or anybody was partisan in that. We felt, I'm sure, that we had to pass information along to QVH about what people were saying, but there was no partisanship in that. It was to make sure that everything.
And it has been trouble, I think, for local people, because there was a lot of debate at the beginning around, was it going to be, the site going to be sold, was it going to be a car park, was it going to be another supermarket? And I think and that's why I'm pleased to announce the investment that we secured in this last year, because it's been significant, £5 million for 2 modular theatres takes us up now to 12 theatres. The Cancer Hub, the role we played during the pandemic was recognised not just at a local level, but regionally and nationally. We were on BBC News in April 2020, less than a month after the lockdown, celebrating what we were doing for patients across Kent, Surrey and Sussex. Our minor injury unit was seeing not record numbers, but we're seeing significant numbers of people attending. I think what I hear is local people want those sort of services absolutely to continue. And part of the strategy work, John, we would want to do is how we can support primary care. So I think GPs are having quite a tough job at the moment. We're doing lots of support for them in terms of patients coming to us from dressings. But I think we would like to see how much more we can do.
I think that's going to have to happen across the country, because the NHS, as it was, as functioning, it's got to change, it's got to evolve to do.
We've always been very clear, QH has a very long history and heritage, but it also has a very bright future, but we need to just ensure that it's sustainable, and those things we are doing as a board.
And we're grateful to you for doing
it.
And are you happy with the official utilisations of the theatres and things like that?
John, we're never happy with theatre utilisation. You can always do better. I think that is the key bit. If you can, dare I say, if another patient can be added to the list, and we can, that's great for patient care at the end of the day. So no, we are on the case with theatre productivity all the time.
I think, thank you. I think to kind of turn it on its head, Steve, I think one of the reasons that everybody was so relieved locally is because they're so incredibly proud of the hospital. There is such a pride in the town to have seen the journey that QVH has taken, and people that have grown up have seen it change, and you really are top of your field, really, in what you do. There's so much talent at QVH, so much talent, and so many personal stories that come out of it. You've only got to look at social media for 5 minutes and you see the thank you emails that are so genuine. So there is so much to be proud of with QVH, and I just hope and pray that we find some sustainable way forward by just bringing in people that want to join such a great hospital, who, yes, pioneered so much in the past, but still want to pioneer in the future. And larger hospitals won't be able to pioneer in the way that QVH can. So I just think it's a real little gem, and thank you. It's something to be really proud of.
Thank you, Chair. Steve, thank you for, again, all the comments, and we're very grateful to you and your whole team. With the new Sussex Integrated Care Board, I know they only came in on the 1st of July, and they're doing roadshows and presentations, so it's very early days. But can I just ask, does Queen Victoria Hospital come under the Sussex umbrella of the Integrated Care Board? Because I know you provide services to Kent as well. So has that changed, or will it change because of the Sussex ICB?
So we sit within Sussex. So NHS Sussex is our, that's part of the integrated board. We're part of that. Yeah, so we're part of that organisation in the sense that, you know, we regularly, the chief execs meet every Wednesday evening. So the 3 local authority directors of adult social services and the NHS providers, chief execs, we all meet at 5 o'clock on Wednesday evening. At the moment, because of winter, it's a winter board. So, you know, where money has been made available by government, you know, all that group is meeting to see how that money can be spent. Primarily on discharges from the acute hospital, but then we'll look at our role within that. So, yes, NHS Sussex is responsible for the financial allocation to QBH. They are our main commissioner, and they work then across Kent and Surrey and the other areas where patients come from. We work very closely with certainly our colleagues in Kent, and so we still, about 35% of our work still comes from Kent.
Thank you. When you were last here, I don't think we knew the name of the chief executive of the Sussex Integrated Care Board. Do we know now?
So NHS Sussex is Adam Doyle,
Adam Doyle.
and the chair is Stephen Lightfoot.
Stephen Lightfoot.
So
Stephen with a PH.
So yes, those slides from Stephen Lightfoot have been circulated, and they have got those contact information on them. So they were in last week before's newsletter, 2 or 3 weeks ago. So yeah, we have got them.
Straying slightly, but it's kind of relevant because within the town council we're involved, obviously we're planning for the future as well, on the planning agenda necessarily. And if in the future there were potential medical building facilities that would become available in the town, we're trying to get the right contact through Sussex Integrated Care Board to kind of key that in, because people quite rightly want infrastructure delivery, and the medical delivery of infrastructure seems to us to be very frustrating to try and get. But can I ask if, you know, it sounds like the Integrated Care Board is moving forward positively.
Yeah, no, it
instead of the
is.
CCGs, which is good.
Yeah, no, it is. I think over the last few years, I think providers and the commissioners have all worked much closer together. It's much more of a collaboration as opposed to competition. You know, it's tricky also working with 3 different local authorities who are all very politically very different as well. And their geographies are very different. Brighton and Hove, and compare with West Sussex, it's a huge area. I think the working of that group now, we meet, as I said, every Wednesday evening. There's also a system leadership forum that meets. The Integrated Care Board as such is a fairly large board which has representations from the local authorities, from all the providers. So it's much more collaborative than ever before. And, you know, you just pick up the phone and talk to one of your colleagues and get things done. You know, we interviewed yesterday, as I said, with the Director of Strategy. We have a representative from Sussex, NHS Sussex, on the interview panel. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you, Steve. Thanks for coming. Thanks for all your.
Do you mind if I disappear?
By all means, please. We've only got a few more to go, so we can all just thanks very much. Thanks for coming.
Have a good Christmas.
Very welcome to our mince pie day
I
as
heard
well.
that. Did you say glass of wine?
Yeah, we've got the lights tomorrow.
Okay, on to the last 2 items. Gatwick Airport. This is a report forwarded by Councillor Mockford. Unfortunately, she's not here tonight to ask any questions, but this is for noting. Okay, thank you. Loudons Lane update. The proposal for a cycle and footpath. This is now moving forward, and a date will be settled in the next few weeks, along with a report back to the Foundation Trust to their grant by the Bollards. The county will progress the PROW and cycle lanes with applications from the town council and Clarendon, and are seeking funding for the CCTV. This is a positive progress, and it's for noting. Okay.
No, sorry. Sorry, I was just looking at Councillor Balsey, because I wanted to say thank you to him for personally delivering letters
In the rain.
To residents, which was greatly appreciated. And with my West Sussex County Council hat on, Loudons Lane has long been an aspiration for not only myself but also my amazing highways manager, who I'm soon to lose, which I guess he's going to be moving on to pastures new, and he's put so much work into that particular area. It has been a long frustration area for us. There has been so many parts of it owned by different people, different partners that have had different things to do with it. And when you get a difficult situation like that, it's very hard to move things forward. And to create a lovely new walking, cycling route that would be so beneficial to the residents of the town. It means you can certainly get places quicker if you're walking and cycling, and you can avoid the London Road, which would be amazing, and obviously a walk to school route as well. So many thanks, particularly to East Grinstead Town Council, who I think if they hadn't joined in and helped, it would have been very hard to have got this through. Everybody's played their part. We've still got a bit of a way to go, but I will be very happy and very relieved
Good.
to
Well,
see this
Sounds like it's heading in the right
to
direction. So that's good.
fruition.
Thank you, Councillor Bells, if you help. Okay, so that's it. So the date of the next meeting of the Public Service Committee will be Thursday, the 2nd of March, 2023, although there will be a mini meeting to consider the budget on January the 12th. Okay, the time is 8:10, and I am now closing the meeting.